In
Got me feeling like in a school environment.
right in the saddle.
Let me fold my hand.
Right
Mike
here.
runs a tight.
And if you guys have any
tight ship.
questions, I'd prefer you raise your hand.
Yeah, one at a time, not all at once, please.
All right, the great and powerful Karla Castro and you just go by that last name. I know you have are you hyphenated your last name?
No, it's just that
Yeah.
Castro. Yeah.
And if you don't know, or now you do, because Karla, you're probably one of the more heavily invested people in the podcast arena in this area, being that.
Think so?
Well, you're a co-host there at the very awesome Inappropriality podcast, which is really awesome. I wanted to actually, I want to go back on with you guys. I was thinking how funny it was last time, because I want to try and take some clips from that podcast because we had a lot of good laughs. But I got to do that again. And now you got Respectfully Said going, and that's something new. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So that idea came from the fact that on Inappropriality we talk about music, but not as much as I want to talk about music. So that's where that idea came from, and just the fact that I just kind of just wanted to have just my own baby, just like my own
something
thing.
else you work on. Do you still shoot it out of the stew or?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you have your own little location for that.
With Respectfully Said, we're in West Springfield, and the production behind that's Arrow Studios. So that's Corey, that's T-Bands, and their brothers over at West Springfield. So that's where we're at right now. So I
awesome.
don't do anything. I just go in, tell them these are the songs that are going to be played. I send them the songs.
Yeah.
The flow of the show, and then that's it.
So in other words, you put a little bit more into the artist that's on. I've seen you guys. I've seen a few bits of the podcast as well. You guys seem like you're having a lot of fun, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's more on the production side of it because that's what we're paying. I wanted it to look a certain way. I wanted it to have a certain vibe.
Yeah.
And like I said, I just want to go there and pod.
Right.
I don't want to do nothing else. I don't want to set up
Set
cameras.
it and forget it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about it.
I literally just pull up there, and they're great over there. They have everything ready to go for me. All I have to do is just sit down
and it's going
and go.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I tell you, if I had one button to just turn everything on, that'd be great.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
It's like me. I just come
that's
over
literally
here
the only
and
reason
just...
I'm thinking how great it would be to have a house. Because you can't, there's that weird stage where you're like, okay, you have an apartment like I do now, and now it's like going forward, having a place would give me the ability to have a more legitimate
you have to try to
studio.
sleep in here right now, Mike.
Because I sleep on this table.
Yeah,
No.
I don't know how you do it.
I bathe on this table. It's a real minimalist setup. No, but if I had my own studio, I feel like that would be great. Now, do you right now still use someone else's studio, or do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So when we go there, they have a building in West Springfield.
Well, you guys do a fantastic job. I did notice. Is that a green screen you use? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know it was at first until I was watching it for a little bit. I was watching it for a while. I'm like, oh, no kidding. That is a green screen.
Yeah, and now that we started to do the visual submission, so people get to submit their music videos.
Yeah.
That's why I was tripping the other time, because you'll see it behind me, and I don't know, it's just more fun.
Yeah.
I guess for people to kind of actually see.
Are you the main host of Respectfully Said? So you kind of got the wheels started there.
Yeah, I'm the main host, and then pretty much the idea actually came talking to my guys Swang and Katsky. They're both producers from back in Springfield. I'm saying Springfield is a half hour away.
I know.
5 minutes away.
From here, we're pretty much in Springfield. This is
yeah.
I mean, it's alright. Bridge is right there.
Jump.
Yeah, bridge is right there.
They were pretty much around the earlier ideas. They knew about it first, and then it kind of just started from a little seed, and then just grew into a tree.
Right. I hear you. Who made the graphics and stuff? I know you guys are in the process of getting.
Jake, if I'm saying your name wrong,
we're not sorry.
Wrong, I'm sorry.
No.
I'm sorry, but you know who you are, Jake. He did the initial concept, and then my guy Macway,
Macway, yeah. Shout out to Macway because I need to get him on here too.
Yeah. He'll love this.
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him soon.
Yeah. He did the remix, so he kind of took it and just spiced it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
So
how connected are you with like Two Tails and all those guys as well? I know they're recently putting out some shows. They're doing some shows soon, and I saw the flyer. The flyer looks awesome, by the way.
Yeah.
If you guys are watching, I'm really stoked for that.
March 19th.
March 19th.
They're doing a private show. I believe the tickets are $10. Yes, $10. You want to know the location? You have to buy a ticket.
There you go.
And we will tell you the location.
That's actually good to know because I wasn't sure how it worked. I'll put a link below though. There's a link to okay. The link is below in the description, guys, on the YouTube version of this.
We record Inappropriality at the Stew, and at the Stew that's owned by John Dillinger and Two Tails, Stevie Max, Dorian Pierre.
Oh, Two Tails owns that?
Nah, he's one of Dillinger's artists.
Oh, okay.
That's his home. That's where that's his home base basically. That's where his team records at. It's at the Stew where you recorded the podcast.
Yeah.
So that's how we know Two Tails.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I know it's a crazy network of people. I'm sure you guys get to tap into. I mean, how did you meet Gook and all them? Because I gotta reach out to him too.
Yeah.
And shout out to him.
Yeah. His girlfriend was the one who kind of put me onto him, because before I even started to do like the little listing with people dropping music, I used to do one before. It used to be called The Best of New England. So I would ask like, oh, who's dropping music, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And she will always DM me on Instagram, always sending me like his stuff. And at first I would look at it and I was just like,
He's very abstract. Like I feel like he's puts a lot of art into his
I get
his
it.
work.
I get it now, but back then I didn't.
Yeah.
I was just like, what's going on here? Like, no. So that was her being very
but
persistent, and
you're his manager now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you how this happened.
Yeah.
So she's being very persistent, keeps sending me like his stuff or whatever. So I'm already following him on Instagram, and I kind of have an eye on him already. So I'm like, oh, he's pretty interesting. Then when Mike starts doing the For the Culture, we start giving out an email address for people to send their music, and I guess he sent the song. Mike hits the group chat, and he's like, oh, I need you guys to hear something because I can't play this here. I can't do this. I can't. No.
Well,
like,
why couldn't you play it?
Because that song was like a screamo song.
Oh, I gotcha. So it wasn't
very
of the genre people might have thought it was going to be. So he sings then. I mean,
yeah, he does a little bit of everything. Like he does the screamo, he does the trap metal, and he got bars and he can rap. He can do the boom bap. Yeah. He just jumps into all these like different lanes. So it came from that email. We go check the email, we listen to the song, and then we're like, oh, okay, we see what you mean. And I kind of told him, I was like, oh, it's the young kids, and, we kind of have to give them a chance too. This is for everybody. So it came from that. And then I go on Spotify, and then I'm like, you know what? Let me just listen to what he has out so far. Blown away.
Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say, well, the last couple of songs that I've heard of his, I mean, you could tell he's putting a lot into it. And it just keeps going. He keeps going.
Yeah, I think what's so amazing about him is that he's so young. He just turned 21. And
are you serious?
And his sound.
No wonder you're saying youngins. I'm like, he's got to be probably our age, and we're not that old. I mean,
no.
What
you're like 45, Mike. What are you talking about?
25.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's kind of dawning on me. I'll be 30 next year, and that's kind of messing me up a little bit psychologically.
And it's not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a little tough.
In the beginning,
the first couple of weeks, like, I'm 30.
You become a them.
Mm-hmm.
You become a them. You're no longer a kid anymore. I feel like
it's one of me anymore.
Yeah, I'm not gonna be one of you.
I can't even talk to you when that happens. I want you to know that.
Yeah. Well, wait. So are you Mac and Mike all the same age, roughly?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think Mac is older than me and Mike by like a year. Yeah,
Mac is a lot older than I thought he was. He's not like super old. No hate. But,
that's because
he just looks good for his age.
Yeah, bro, you still got that look.
Yeah,
and I think
so Mike tells me too.
Yeah.
I think about him is that it's just his energy and his vibe.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He always has just like that, optimistic. Or I don't
it's
even know.
It's important to have that.
I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
I don't know if optimistic is the right word, but you're in a room with Mac and he just he just notices you and makes you feel important, especially even when it comes to the fact that he's so willing to collaborate with just about anybody. Yeah. He would never say no because he's just a fan of, 413 music.
Yep.
So
I hear you there.
Shout out to you, bro.
Yeah, seriously, shout out Mac, because I actually I feel the same way. When I went on the podcast, the Inappropriality podcast, I really felt that way. Like the chemistry between the three of you, and then of course me as just the guest that day, felt extremely welcoming. Like walking out of that place, I felt like I just went to a party. Like I thought that's how it felt for me. And in regards to Mac, I really his contribution made me feel really, really like, okay, you never know if you're saying, when you meet new people, you never know if you're saying things that are dumb or whatnot. And he's got a great sense of humor. So I know what you're saying there. Mac, I'm coming for you too, man. I would love to have him on.
He's just a fucking character.
Yeah. Yeah, he really is.
Yeah, he's funny.
That's why we keep Deo around.
Yeah.
He says some funny poop jokes every now and then.
I like stuff.
I feel like he's just like the perfect person to have, because when Mike can be leaning this way or I lean this way, Mac would just kind of just
even it out a little.
Yeah, brings us together. So
yeah, it's gonna be tough too, because what you have is the at least for the Inappropriality podcast is you have a very much more communal dynamic where you have a good amount of people in on a conversation. So it's so important to keep that balance, and I could see where that really kicks in from time to time. How did you guys all meet? That's what I was wondering too, because did you guys know each other for a long time? And I mean, I know the Inappropriality podcast has been around for some years now.
Inappropriality has been around before I was even around.
Oh,
so
wow.
I was friends with Mike on Facebook. I don't know how we became friends on Facebook, but we were friends on Facebook. And then with Mac, I used to kind of be an artist, I guess. Some time ago.
You were?
Yeah, like I used to rap or whatever. And I would do
no shame
shows.
In that. I pretty much beatboxed my way through high school.
Yeah, no. I guess like to build like the person that I am now, like that first stage of what K is now was like as an artist. So that's where
that was your foot in the door into the media world.
I got to meet people in our music scene that others consider legends in our city.
Where were you from?
I was from the Bronx.
Okay. Oh
and
my
I
gosh,
moved out here.
That must have been a completely different world.
It was a little bit of a culture shock because I was used to being from such a bigger place,
city.
And for everything to kind of just be like, and everything is just so you look under the microscope,
Yeah.
It's just
like
way
now,
smaller. Everybody knows everybody. I mean, like back at home, if you lived in the same neighborhood, obviously, like, you're gonna know people.
Yeah.
But you're not gonna know everybody in the entire Bronx.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like if you come to Springfield, you can probably know like everybody in the city because it's 155,000.
That person knows that guy, and that guy knows that.
I tell you, and imagine that too. Us growing up in Palmer, 10,000 people.
Yeah,
so like
exactly
everybody knows the family that's associated with that last name. So that whole thing. Oh yeah, they this, that, and that. Oh, they work down at this place.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, like I've always known your uncle owns Flamingos, and it's like it's crazy how tight knit it gets from
Flamingos?
That. It's like a
Flamingo Motorsports.
Yeah,
it's like
ATVs.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's not as fun as it sounds.
Yeah,
I thought strip club.
No.
I know. Well, no, the Magic Lanterns down there. They had a shooting. Did you hear about that?
No.
Magic Lantern had a shooting and somebody died. Somebody got
They
killed.
have a great strip steak. That's all I know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
Thursdays,
who's eating at
yeah.
a strip club? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, $5 strip steak. It's delicious.
Go down south. Go down south and go to the strip clubs like in Florida or in Georgia, like the little urban ones.
Yeah. Well,
you get a
I've
five.
heard Florida.
You
heard
get
Florida's
wings
gets
there.
crazy.
You get.
I
Yeah,
just feel like
you're
the
fed.
shop.
Yeah.
the two aren't like horniness and hunger
Nah,
kind of.
you'd be surprised because once you
Kinda
start
super.
drinking
Yeah,
and people
it's true.
smoke too, you're allowed to smoke in
Down in
the
Florida?
clubs. Yeah, so you
Oh,
develop
nice.
what they call munchies.
Yes.
Allegedly.
I think Dale
Yeah.
is familiar with the munchies.
Allegedly.
Dale came in with a care package from
Oh,
heaven today.
hey.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Those little
Anytime.
vape pens.
Disposable
Yeah.
one. Just
Shout out to Maddie. Oh gosh, Maddie Murda came in. He gave me a joint. And it's amazing.
That little
I
stockpile.
was just
Don't
saying,
you,
yeah.
Mike?
Well, no, that's gone. But like, it's crazy how smooth some of that stuff is, and it's cool to know that they're allowing people to like smoke more regularly now. Is we're down south, like Florida, you're saying, or like
No, they're not allowing people to.
Oh, okay.
People do it. Yeah.
they just
People
do it.
do it.
Nobody says anything.
Correct. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things that you kind of see like in the clubs. You just kind of just turn your eye. Now, if you're outside and you're driving around, and if you got something like this small, you're going to jail.
Yeah, seriously.
So they're
Florida's
still
kind of strict though. Like, yeah.
Florida
they're
is
still
very
kinda-
strict. Georgia is really. You're not getting a slap on the wrist. You're going to jail for
Jeez.
something this small.
They fucking
Like
around.
a roach. Yeah, I know. Friend. They listen to this, so I'm just laughing. But let's say my uncle's friend got caught with something like that and went right to jail for a few days. Here, this is back before. It's crazy how far we've come. I mean, remember smoking for me as a kid, first time smoking, and it was like super secretive. Like we'd go miles into the woods, type of like nobody can find out about this. You know what I mean? And then on
hide in
top
the
of it
closet.
being highly illegal. But we also, which was a funny thing.
Maybe it's just that stigma too.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was always that stigma. It's always that stigma of, remember, we had a joke, how many cops? Depending on how high you were, you'd have a certain level of paranoia. where
driving
you're thinking,
around, yeah.
how many cops do you think there are? Because if you're real high, you
6
think
cops.
everybody's a cop.
Yeah.
Like it's officially become the entire world is just cops, and you're just freaking out for too much. But, at the same time, you had things like extravaganza. I don't know if you ever were a part of that or ever got to experience that when it was in Amherst.
Yeah, I was never like a part of it. Been there. It
That's
was
a wild
cool.
experience.
Yeah, I mean it's cool, but I'm the type of person that I get high and then I get tired. So being in an environment like that, no good for me. 'Cause
Yeah, it
I'm
was
good for like 2
overstimulating.
hours and then I'm like, I kind of need to go lay down.
Well, not only not only that though, you would just that overstimulation.
I don't like
It's
a hot
I
high.
don't like a lot of people.
Yeah, it's true.
It's like,
Well, then you look
no.
around and I don't know. I get in my own head and like people start freaking me out. I'll be looking at them and they'll be making a weird face in the distance, and I'm like, "What is going on?"
Then he realizes it's just me, and then it's
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it was. It's hard. It's hard to navigate that crowd sometimes.
yeah.
Though I think they moved it to Northampton since. But what were we talking about as regarding the podcast?
Meeting the guys.
Oh yeah, meeting the guys because you moved from the Bronx. You came.
Yeah.
Do you live in Connecticut or here in Mass?
No, I live in Springfield.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I live right downtown in the heart of the city.
There you go.
So
What's that like?
oh, interesting.
Yeah,
And
Keep
not
you on
in a
your
good
toes.
way.
Yeah.
not in a good way.
Yeah, you just kind of see like the worst of like Springfield. And what I mean like that, you see like you see people on drugs.
A lot, I bet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even just I had to give my friend a ride from somewhere in Springfield. It's a downtown area, and it wasn't anything crazy, but you see people sleeping on the side of the street, sort of like in Northampton. I remember just bopping around in Northampton back in like the summers of the past, and you come across people who are. You laugh at it because you don't live there, so it's like haha, because it's hilarious. But I could only imagine if that's a day to day, like somebody sleeping on the road, somebody totally like geeked out on whatever.
And I mean, you're not always seeing somebody sleeping, but you just see them around, like, and it's not like it's like one or two. It's
a group.
Yeah, it's like a lot of people, and they usually cause trouble and stuff like that. Or
so far, I've been living in that area for about 2 years, and I've never had any problems
Oh, that's
with
good.
any at them. But it's not, and it's not even so much of like, I have to see this. It's like more of like, damn, I feel bad.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, what's going on? How can you help them? Do they even want help? Because at the end of the day, if people don't want help, there's so much you can do for somebody if they don't want it. So
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make
Well,
it,
that's
you know?
just the. I think there's a lot to be said about that too, because the first inclination, as far as somebody with any type of conscience, would be like, how can I help this person? What can I do to fix them? You know what I mean? Because obviously you're recognizing an issue, and Jordan Peterson's a fantastic current psychologist, and he's becoming somewhat of a what the hell's it called? Drawing a total blank. Philosopher, and he's got a great saying. It's like, don't cast pearls to swine, and it's not to be dismissive in that, okay, just don't help the person, but it's important to recognize that the kind of help they need might not even they might be too far. Like, it's like something that they can only get themselves if they really want it.
I mean, you look at them and you can kind of tell that they're already in too deep.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And we probably all known people like that. I know we have, Dale, and just people who get absorbed by drugs, and it changes their chemistry.
Yeah.
You're literally change. Your chemistry is different, and now you have to deal with an imbalance that can only be balanced out by the drug that created the imbalance in the first place. And it's rough because
that's why they give you a drug.
Yeah.
To
fix
wean you off a drug.
Yeah, it's like a lesser, and then yeah.
But then you get it. Now you're addicted to that.
Yeah, and it takes I would assume, an unbelievable amount of mental willpower, because I know people who have gone through it too, and are now on the straight and narrow and doing very good for themselves. I do know people who have seen the other side of that.
It's very tough though. Like when I was growing up, my grandfather had a sign shop, like make neon signs and stuff, and he owned the whole building. It was like in like downtown Chicopee somewhere, but there was a methadone clinic right next door, and the trash, like you'd go there in the parking lot every morning, and like the trash bags where they'd throw out just like the cups that they'd give it in, it would just be those bags would be torn apart because people would be looking for every little last piece of methadone.
I remember. I won't go too much into details, but I remember being younger, going there with a parental
to the methadone clinic.
Yeah, and not knowing that that's what it was until I got older and was like, oh
shit.
Yeah.
Oh, is it mom or dad or?
Parental figure.
A person of
Gotcha.
That's why I don't want to.
Yeah, I hear you
too much. But
I hear you.
Seeing that, it kind of just blew my mind, because now that we know that the liquid is a drug to wean off another drug, is just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah,
here?
and like it's like for me, like
God.
same but different. But like I'd go to like with my grandma and stuff to the sign shop growing up, and I'd see the people going in and out all the time in the methadone clinic next door, and I wouldn't put two to two together. I'd just be like, oh, they're going for a doctor visit or something.
Yeah.
And then like you get older, you're like, oh, that's why.
And that's the tough part, because you know what usually gets people. We'll just say it straight out. Usually kills people, is that within that process of the using methadone to wean themselves off of the adverse effects of the what was it called when you're off of a drug, you get I'm drawing so many blanks today.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't think of the word.
Yeah, how can we not withdrawal. So the adverse effects of withdrawal, to obviously mitigate those with the methadone. I've found and noticed that what changed what the people who have gotten through that, it was the people who they were around that kept them straight. Because what happens is if you're trying to do yourself better and everybody in your social group isn't or is still using, you're going to eventually, by association, find yourself right back in that spot.
You are who you associate with.
Yeah, it's a big
That's
part
why I
of
don't
it.
talk to you a whole lot, because like you just
man, things.
This guy brings alcohol and weed over my house every time I see him.
Naughty.
No, but it's true. Like it's amazing. Like the people you surround yourself really can make a huge difference.
Huge difference.
It's everything. Every level.
It's everything. And that's another really great point he said, because like you were saying, how do you help these people? What can we do for them? You know what I mean? It's like in one instance, the most helpful thing you might think is we'll give them money, but that also could be the one thing that kills them. You give them more money, it's obviously not going to go to shelter or food unless somebody does that for them. So it's like it's a systematic thing. You got to figure out where you can put them, that they're in an environment. Now, I've heard about it rather, like in Portugal, the way they've been doing it is that all drugs are legal right now. Like all of them. They have been for actually years. And the way they deal with it is that if somebody's caught with those like class A drugs, like we're talking cocaine, heroin, crack, you end up being like admitted into some program that the government has, and it sends them away essentially. They like you're
going to rehab.
I don't even know. I heard like sometimes they'll send them to a different country and do like a study abroad type thing.
So you're exiled.
You're almost exiled. Yeah, you can be like take it, but like imagine that. That's not a bad idea though, because if somebody could take that person, maybe that person you see on a daily basis, and bring them to somewhere where there's way more sunlight. Because that's usually the biggest issue, especially this high up north. Most people, like 90% of the people who live in the northern hemisphere, are vitamin D deficient. You know what I mean? Especially if you have darker skin. And you have to take now that person, if you did rather take that person and bring them to somewhere with just more sunlight. That's it. That could change their whole life as time goes on, as long as they're able to sustain themselves there with some program. And I'm assuming there's medical intervention where they have people, maybe it's like a camp. And they send them there.
Basically, sounds like one of those Malibu rehab centers.
Yeah, It's not a bad idea. I know it sounds a little like colorful and almost unrealistic, but at the same time, because if you're not healthy, winter sucks, dude. Like this winter's been great for me. I usually really mentally, I'm dragging ass in the winter, but I've been exercising and trying to stay focused, and that's been the difference. And that's all I'm saying.
I mean, I know things took like a left turn, but I met Mac.
Oh yeah,
Indian Orchard.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So
there's a spot that used to be called a Regal Beagle.
Yeah.
Right up there. And I think either he was performing or I was performing. I don't remember. All I know is that I remember meeting him, and we've known each other since then. We kind of lost contact, but even when they contacted me to do the podcast, I was like, huh?
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Why'd they reach out to you? Do you know?
Because at that time, I was I think I was already done with like the whole artist phase of things, and I was going through a whole rebrand. So now I was kind of trying to do like an Instagram page of like promoting music. But in that time, I was always talking about music and stuff on Facebook and stuff. Like little music debates and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And
what did you start with as far as equipment? Because you probably started way back before.
Nothing.
Before it was
My
like
phone.
MacBooks and stuff.
But what like me doing like the whole like rebranding and stuff. Because when I was doing that, it was just a page, or music in general.
Yeah, music in general. Because like I'm just thinking GarageBand became a really big thing in like. It was 2010.
It was GarageBand.
Okay.
I don't even know why I even decided to start making music. It was just one of those little hobby things. But I used to do with my bro back in Jersey. He lives in Jersey now, but we went to high school in the Bronx. Chris, if you're watching this, shout out to you.
Shout out to Chris.
We used to just write like little raps, and my ex at the time had a MacBook and had GarageBand.
There you go.
I mean, like the quality was trash, but we would just be doing songs. And
it's
stuff
amazing
like
what you can do on it, though. I want to shout out Jeff Stanhope. He's he made some amazing music with his MacBook way back, like in high school. And I always told him, dude, you got to keep rapping, because he knew how to use it to the point where he could. Like, I've been able to make beats, but I've never figured out how to really complement vocals with the beats that I make, just because I've never really tried, to be honest. But it's just amazing when you can see somebody put something together like that works.
Yeah. It started from there, and then when I was working at Walmart at the time, there was this Dez. Shout out to you. He used to live here. He doesn't live here no more. I think he moved to Ohio.
Yeah.
He was going to Berkeley in Boston and working at Walmart at the time. He Vision Center. That's what I met him at.
Mm-hmm.
And he was doing the engineering program up there, and we would always talk about music. And then he would tell me like, oh, like, you know, I'm just starting out, like I need somebody to kind of like practice on. That's how that started. So then I started from the MacBook. Then I went to an engineer who was studying engineering at Berkeley. He was my engineer for a while. And then from there, I would go to Tommy Pockets, and he's like a Springfield music legend.
Tommy Pockets?
Yeah, music legend. We'll go to him.
That's a cool name.
It's pretty cool.
And that was the last person.
Yo, it's Tommy Pockets.
Yeah,
I like that.
He was at that one. At one time, he was one of the best like engineers in the city. Like everybody would go to him.
Yeah,
like, he was like the guy. Now it's so good to see so many people do engineering. Everybody wants to be an artist, but don't realize that there's behind the scene roles that need to be filled, especially out here in New England. I feel like too many people want to be an artist when there's other roles to be filled. Like me, myself, I'm not that strong of an artist, but I know what else can I bring to the table? What else am I good at that I can kind of contribute?
Well, you know how to manage an artist. I mean, it's obviously you're dipping into it. Yeah, you're learning how to manage.
Yeah, you'll see people. I'll see people like Frank Nino, and you know Frank Nino that's making moves that's Blacksmith, Fabian, and Fabian is like one of our top like artists out here. He's been around important people, been in important rooms, blah blah blah. So that's Blacksmith, Fabian, Blaze G, and I think Berto Bravo. I might be forgetting some people. I apologize. But Frank Nino, like to me, when it comes to like the management type thing, that's like somebody that I look up to. It's like a
mentor. Somebody you can look up to.
I mean, it would be dope if he was to be a mentor. Like we've never had no conversation like that, but me seeing him, so like I've met Frank, and you know, small conversation, but nothing. He's not like a mentor or something like that.
Have you ever thought about just like reaching out and be like, hey?
Absolutely, that's what I was trying to say before I got tongue tied. I would absolutely love to have somebody as Frank, as a mentor, because he means so much to our music scene. Like he's done so much, brought a lot of artists out here that people respect musically to us, and you know, still doing it. When I got here in 2009, he was in like probably like the peak, and now 10 years later, he's still doing his thing, still traveling, and still making it bigger and bigger. So fuck yeah, I would love to be mentored by somebody like Frank Nino.
I love that whole concept, and it's one of probably easily the most helpful thing that I learned in the past 2 or 3 years, and it's the importance of a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Reaching out to that person who you know, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
For you, you said Frank Nino.
Mm-hmm.
Frank Nino. For some people, it might be somebody else regarding some completely different facet. But my point is, you get time with that person who knows how to do what you want to be really good at. You know what I mean? That's gold. That's gold, because you can put yourself out there and be like, hey, could I work for you for free?
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people who have done that just in the financial world. I've even done it and reached out to people who I recognize as people who are very financially intelligent, and I've sat down with them like, hey, could you teach me what you know? Like sometimes people are very flattered that you would even say something like that. That's the foot in the door. That's all you need, and then all of a sudden you're spending time with that person and learning the ropes. Even if you're an artist and you want to become better, and you look up to somebody who's around, I would assume that would work really similarly. Like, hey, could I see you do what you do in your environment? Like that would be great. And I could only imagine the amount of people. Have you met? Who's like the most famous person you think you've met in this area? Because seems like you've been involved for a very long time.
From New England, I wouldn't say I've met anybody.
Like, have you ever seen anybody really kind of
maybe
change their life? in a big way. Like they live somewhere else now. I know some artists like they'll get really big. Like who was it? Mac Miller was from Philly, and then he ends up in Pittsburgh. Sorry, and then he ended up obviously in L.A. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Or he was
no,
an
no,
East
no.
Coast. He was an East Coast guy.
Yeah, no. You're absolutely right about the story. I was just kind of thinking of me if I've met anybody like.
Because him and
level.
Chris Webby came up kind of the same time, and then just like, now they were gone. I don't even know what Chris Webby's doing.
He's still rapping.
Obviously, Mac.
Yeah, I will probably say Don ZOP, and he's from Connecticut. And once again, the studio that we record at is such a hub for so many artists. So many people come through that place, and Don ZOP.
I love how underground it is too.
Yeah,
like you wouldn't expect there to be a studio there at all.
That's somebody that you will honestly won't want to have come here, because you'll see. I'll show you him, and he's just like, he walks like a star, he looks like a star, he acts like a star. His visuals, he's got a chip on his shoulder. Not even.
That's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. I told an artist that we were interviewing in New York yesterday, because I felt like he has a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
In his music, but I told him that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I feel like shit like that pushes people.
I coined that from Gary V. Gary V was talking about like Kyle, because he knew Kyle before Kyle was really big, and who else? Russ, and both those guys recently are doing big things now. And that's kind of just something he said. It kind of makes sense. It makes sense. In other words, you're charismatic and you're confident, and that might boil down to having a chip on your shoulder, but it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all.
But yeah, he's a star. So that's somebody who I like in our area. I would say that kind of like when I met him, I felt like I was meeting a star, because it just exudes off of him.
Yeah.
Industry wise, I think the Rhapsody, she's the only famous person that I met.
Really?
Yeah. And that's because I paid for a meet and greet, but I mean it was worth it. She's like one of the meanest MCs
out there.
She's crazy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And we're rolling up on some really exciting times, considering things are going to be opening up again.
Man,
and I'm like so stoked. What is it, March 3rd? Could you look that up actually? What is it? Like we're going back to phase whatever, but the
phase
point is
2
indoor performances. I think you shared something on it.
Yeah, because I work at a restaurant.
Your stuff comes up on my feed all the time.
Algorithms. I seen that, and I work at a restaurant, so being at 100% capacity, that's a good thing for us.
Yeah.
Because that drives in more business. But then as soon as I saw
the restaurant business, just took the biggest hit out of anybody.
So hard. And then I work at a place that is a private owned. It's not a corporation. It's not an Applebee's or they're gonna be
Burger
fine.
King.
Yeah, no.
Of course they're gonna be fine, because they were probably supported. You know what I mean? Like I even remember when they pushed that curfew, and this I'm getting a little red in the face right now. But you know what I mean? It pisses me off. It's like they pushed the curfew. They got stay inside at 10. I went to Wendy's at 11.
Xbox that night.
I'm like, why is Wendy's open? Why is that?
Because people got to eat.
It's like, because there's a drive-through. Okay, well then what? It's just, I guess it boils down to, how is it that somebody can decide what is and isn't essential? Because last I checked, people who work for the restaurant need to eat and have shelter. You know what I mean? Or any business for that matter. Never mind restaurants. I'm in the fitness business, and that was kibosh. You know what I mean?
My thing was, how do you decide the time frame?
Yeah.
What decision was? How did they come down to the decision that by 9:30 everything has to stop? That's what I want to know.
That's what I'm saying. It just
doesn't make no sense.
You literally couldn't be more arbitrary. They could have said 9:33 and 15 seconds. It's the same as 9:30. Like they could have. I don't know. I didn't get it. And I don't even remember hearing about anybody even being in trouble anyways. But it was just like businesses are the only ones who had to pay for that. Because I think what it is it's more of a social thing. So then people have this stigma in their heads where they can't go out and do stuff, or they're worried that if they go shopping somewhere at that time, I don't know. Because that was the big thing. Because regardless of the shutdown or not, people were too scared to do to work out at one point anyways, like for my business specifically.
I wanted to go back. I just don't want to wear a mask while I'm on the treadmill.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I just don't think that that's safe.
Oh, it's annoying as hell.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Hey, Florida's living without a mask in sight. That's the one thing I was like, hey, you know what?
It's Florida.
It's Florida. And but here's the thing. But here's the thing. The South, that's what the South's going through. That's how they are. And it's kind of the saving grace because I guess most people's biggest fear right now is that they're going to just keep these masks and then whatever arbitrary restrictions for however long. But at least there's a portion of this country who is not living like that at all. Mm-hmm. And then just south of the border ain't living like that either, because I was just in Mexico and they are alive. Yeah, they're alive and well down there.
No mask.
Completely. What's the word? It's up to you.
Optional.
It's optional. Thank you. Like I can't think of words today at all.
It needs to be optional.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't need to be a fight. You know what I mean?
Don't make it a federal mandate, Joe
right.
Biden.
Seriously, that would suck.
I wonder what happened. I thought he said he was gonna do that in his first 100 days.
Yeah, he didn't do a lot of things in his first 100 days. It just keeps going. It's like a constant.
Welcome to politics.
Right. It is. It's like, oh my gosh. And I hadn't paid attention up until last year, and I was like free, and my mind was I was laughing and jokes all the time.
And once you welcome to politics, it ruins like everything.
You know, and so I don't exactly feel like I can justifiably complain about one candidate versus the other because it's just a constant. You know what I mean? Like it's just so much hypocrisy, and then if you take a side, then it's like
this is my stance on it. My stance is that both sides are full of shit.
They're liars.
They're both liars. They're both lying to us. They both don't care about us. They don't. Because if you cared about us, if they really cared about us,
yeah,
they wouldn't feed us the bullshit that they feed us. They wouldn't be lying to us. You know, they wouldn't be making things that should be easy, quote unquote, hard.
Well, they create a lot of they on purposely create a lot of social division. I was listening to a podcast that were talking about this. Most people opinion resides in the middle. Most people are apolitical, and they're like, okay, there's things I really do like from a conservative point of view. There's things that I really do like from a liberal point of view. I don't think there is even one person that exists where all views are on one side. Maybe, but that could be, you could probably attribute that to a psychological condition if you're really that one-sided. And that's usually what it comes down to.
Just because social media is an awful thing.
Yeah, social media
there's a lot of talking,
algorithm,
echo
chambers.
You're just saying the same. It's just like you're in a group of people just talking about the same thing. You all agree, have the same opinion, so you don't grow that way.
And so what they end up doing very well is convincing people or rather convincing people to have an expectation for the other. So there's this constant perception of other, and that's the enemy. And so now that's why the mask thing has become a thing of ego in this country. Yeah. That's why it was so great being in Mexico, because they didn't have any political affiliation with the mask. The mask was this thing where it was literally to the point where there are people that talked about this before, walking down the street. One of them had a mask, the other one not a mask in sight, and they were walking down the street civilly, peacefully as two humans. Why not here? Like you go to a store without a mask, you're gonna get bitched out.
Yeah,
like you're not just gonna get kicked out. Like imagine you're going to the store to get food
Connecticut
for your family.
though. Not Connecticut, because when I go record Inappropriality, I usually have to go there, grab a beer and grab something to roll some weed up or whatever. Yeah. And I just walk in, I walk out. Nobody looks at me. Nobody tells me
really
that I need to wear a mask. Yeah,
that's awesome.
And this is Connecticut. That's it's a Democratic, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So it's kind of odd that the people are not like, oh, is your mask?
It depends. Yeah, it also depends on the store where you go to.
Well, I did that.
Oh, we were at Enfield and we were.
No, don't divulge any secrets.
Yeah.
There's a. They care.
Yeah, I live in Enfield too.
But it don't matter though, because I could do the same thing and go to one of the little hood spots in Springfield and they're not having it. No
Really?
mask, no service. Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. What's the difference? What's going on in Connecticut?
I will be
Yeah.
honest, like that, because I live in Enfield too, and it's just been the whole time. Like it's definitely felt a little bit more lax than Massachusetts the whole
See,
time.
I told you. See,
Like whenever like all the stuff with the rollouts, the phases, and the curfew, we never. I think we maybe had one curfew this whole time, but it was never as bad as Mass.
I
It
gotta
always seemed
keep
better for
telling
whatever
myself that you're jumping like state lines.
Yeah.
You're not at home. Like
Oh,
things are gonna be
Vermont-
different, and you go there and it feels different.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, Vermont and New Hampshire are like that too. Like I remember we went
Lenient?
on very they're not like I didn't have a mask. I went to get a drink at one of
We
the
got more moose than you do people.
yeah, and so I'm like doing this, and she's like, oh, it's okay, and I'm like, oh, thank God, you know what I mean? Like, cool.
I need to be there.
I'm here.
Oh, in that case,
I'm here where there's still like humans. I start throwing up. Become a big problem.
Yesterday we were in the city, and Mike and I were.
Do you want
walking,
one more of those, by the way?
Oh, please.
Yeah, gotcha.
We're walking through the crowd, and everybody's like masked up, and we're like the only oddballs, just like walking through the crowd, just trying to get by, no mask on. And my thing is like, we're in open air, and if we're not walking too close to each other, I don't feel that I have to have a mask on while we're walking in the open air. Now, if we were to be in a confined room like this, I'm gonna throw it on, and then I throw it on because I just don't want to hear nobody's mouth.
Exactly.
I don't even think that these masks are helping, because most of the times people are reusing the masks. We're using it more than what we're supposed to.
Reuse, renew, recycle. I've used masks off the ground in the parking lot.
Holy.
No, I'm just kidding. But my grandpa almost did. You know what I mean? He was like, oh, it's a good mask. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you see how they making you feel, like, because now you can't go to the store without a mask. So now you're willing to risk your life.
I was at a
to
Cumbies
pick
the
that
other
up
day.
on the floor to
Yeah.
just pop it in.
Yeah.
I was just being
you're right,
absent-minded
though.
the other day going to a Cumbies, and I was about to walk in, and I'm like, just pump some gas. I'm like, yeah, let me go grab a drink. I get to the door, and then I saw the sign, and
Right
I'm like,
there.
shit, that's what I forgot.
You know what really bugs me too, and with all the research and the trials and this and that, never has there been, at least you could probably double check me on this, and I haven't checked in a while, but there hasn't been any peer reviewed studies that prove that the masks work, and the head of the CDC has come out about it, head of the WHO has come up, but like there's no conclusive research that shows that they work like that. What does work though is that if you're somebody who's worried, don't leave your house, and you're met with this awkward look, as though that is too much to ask. It's like that's been the case since day one. You don't want to get in a car crash? Don't fucking drive a car. It's really that simple. It sucks, but if you're gonna have a phobia, that's the world you live in. If you're afraid of spiders or germs, you're going to be dealing with a completely different set of psychological battles on the day-to-day. And if you're hyper fearful of getting a virus or seeing a spider or getting in a car crash, you're going to probably have to take extra steps for yourself to be okay.
Yeah,
but to make everybody conform to your irrationality is a little too much to ask.
Not even to cut you off, Mike. This might even be like random, but damn, I don't want the heat to come down for this, but I don't even think those numbers are real. I don't care, man.
Oh no, I mean,
I don't think those numbers. I'm not saying that people are not passing away from this.
Yeah.
That this thing is not real, because I believe around this time last year, I believe it had corona before they even knew what it was, because I've never felt so sick in my life. I'm talking about like a migraine that lasted for like 2 weeks.
Yeah.
My sense of smell, taste, gone. Body aches.
Ooh,
I know.
you sound like you got it.
Yeah, I know I did.
And you probably have the antibodies.
But I beat it.
Yeah.
So that's why I want us to focus more on those
and
numbers. Why are we focusing on these numbers?
Right. Like
let's focus on the good things.
Exactly. It's they can
got my poor grandmother freaked out.
Right. Well,
watching this bullshit on TV. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Got her glued to this fucking bullshit.
And it's day in and day out.
Already got her mind. She's fixated.
Yeah.
And it pisses me off. Like,
if you hear about death in any number more than one on a daily basis, since especially March, so we're talking about a year's worth of the same
Wow, it's been a year. Wow.
Imagine that. And
Time flies when you're having fun.
You're gonna start creating phobias, and that's what's happened. That's why I said even if they didn't make us shut down, people were too scared to come anyways.
Yeah, like her, she'll be a little scared to go out, and like you said, like if you're scared, stay in the house. That's her.
Yeah, find some way to survive.
You'll see her go out once in a blue. But then she's older too, so of course we wanna protect her. We don't want her, out here because, I do believe it's real. But for the people like us, like the younger folks who we've got it and we beat it, I feel like that's what we need to be focusing on.
And it's paying attention to, like you were saying, the statistics that actually matter, even with the numbers being a little fudged. And this is known that comorbidities count as a death regardless of what actually killed them. Like if you die of a heart attack and had COVID, you're going to have a COVID death. That's how they get the numbers. And it's not really a conspiracy. That's just how it's done. Like my friend's a nurse. They have to mark it down. It's part of their job. So
why?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think it's I think one, it's a fantastic way to scare people a little bit more.
Like did they have a heart attack due to COVID?
Well, they'll say,
you know what I mean?
Complication.
Like,
it's a complication.
Yeah, it's kind of just the way they always document deaths whenever there's something related to a disease or cancer. Like a good one I've seen is like with cancer patients. A lot of the times, like, they don't die because of the cancer. It's because of, like...
They got sick from something else. Like, they got pneumonia.
But it can sometimes be written down that way. It's just the way, like... It unfortunately is just the way they, like, what they're reporting in the documentation.
So, no, I think there's been a lot of things that have created irrational behavior in people. That's the bottom line. I mean, I like to try and not veer into what my opinion is and what is real. And what is real, based off of just what you were saying too, that regardless of, even if those numbers were 100% legitimate, and that every single death that they have counted as a COVID death was 100% due to COVID, which is not the case. CDC has the numbers out there. You can check if you want, for those of you who are listening. But my point is that it's still 99.8% of the population is fine. You know what I mean? So how many people are dead because of COVID? Like 2 million or something like that. There's almost 8 billion people on the planet. 1% of that is,
and that's not even to downplay not even to downplay a death or making it seem like it's not important or is minimal. No,
death is just
we deserve to have the
yeah.
answers. We deserve to be told the truth. Like at this point, I don't even care about my opinion. I just want to know the truth.
Well, here's something that was crazy. I was just listening to a podcast with Justin Wren.
512 in the U.S.
512,000, probably 2 million worldwide. 80 million is 1% of the population worldwide as well. So you can do these stats in your head. Stats aren't opinionated. That's just what it is. But you have to look at what these shutdowns and the masks and the socially distancing stuff does to people from a social standpoint.
Man, fucking up these kids. I tell you that much.
Yeah. Well,
fucking
look
up these kids.
Japan in January of this year. Japan had more deaths due to suicide than COVID total from last year altogether.
You know what?
And it's all because of social.
I also heard
stuff.
Somebody told me that they got ties to like Bay State or whatever, that they have more intake for child suicide prevention than child COVID cases. That's alarming.
Yeah. Well, it was one of the scarier things when they were talking about shutting down schools, and I'm thinking there's a good percentage of people who are counting on those schools to feed the kids, and so now that's gone.
Not even that. A lot of these kids
gone.
They view school as an escape, and to not have that escape anymore. I'm pretty sure that took a mental toll on them. Like that's who I really feel bad for. Not even.
Right.
The businesses and stuff like that, because we'll figure it out. But with the kids, man, when they get fucked up from a young age, it's kind of hard. It's gonna kind of be hard to kind of just fix what's gonna happen in the future
for them. Yeah.
If this lockdown or them not going to school or being able to be social with other people, it's just gonna fuck people up. We'll see. We see in a couple of years the effects of the mental side of COVID.
Yeah. Well, that's what I kept saying. I go, technically, it's almost like you're building a house, and you're building a skyscraper, we'll say, and you're just not building the third and second floor, because there's gonna be a bubble at some point because of this, from probably an educational standpoint, like you're saying. both from a financial and an educational standpoint, because look at all the people paying still top dollar for school. Like I know plenty of people who are in college and were in college through this, and they couldn't go to college. So now they're paying top dollar for an online education. And they still have to pay that money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's sort of a double whammy, because not only are they less prepared to now find the job once their schooling's over, because they just missed out on a year and change, because it's still going. There's still people are in.
Well, a lot of people are still pay to actually go when they're not even going. Like they're just.
And that was my favorite thing about what little college. I mean, I never graduated, but I went to college for a few semesters, and my favorite thing about college was being on campus. I didn't do any of my homework at home because I couldn't stand doing homework at home. But there they had couches.
I just didn't do any of my homework.
Yeah, and Holyoke Community College had like really great. I just do my homework.
Talking about colleges, did you guys hear about Carlson Tucker? I'm not even sure if I'm even
Tucker Carlson.
Oh, that's his name.
Is that the Fox News guy?
Yeah.
Carlson Tucker.
Wow.
Same thing.
Tucker Carlson.
You got it.
I'm calling him Carlson Tucker because
he's got a basic name. Anyway,
Carlson.
I wasn't feeling how he was coming at Springfield. So
what did he say?
So
I didn't read. I didn't watch the video though. I saw you shared that.
Yeah, at first, I mean, when I seen it, I knew it was nothing good. I thought it was hilarious for the fact that it said Springfield, Massachusetts, like on a Fox News headline. I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, like we're lit, like over here. I knew nothing good was coming out of that. Because the headline was Springfield, Massachusetts, is it a living metaphor? And I'm like, huh? Living metaphor? What are you talking about? So I don't know what's going on at Smith College, but something's going on up there, and it's not good.
What do you mean?
Smith College is an all-women's college.
Yeah.
Right?
Is that
Northampton?
Where is that? It's in Northampton. Yeah, I know. Okay.
Right near Atkins.
Yeah, no, I know where it is. I just you said Springfield, so I was like, is it Springfield?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why I kind of want to understand the correlation between what's going on in Smith College and
right
Springfield,
now.
Massachusetts.
I'll tell you right now, because it's just like when you're like, if we go out of state, I don't know if you ever run into anyone out of state, you ask them where you're from, you go, oh, I'm from Springfield area.
And they'd be like, oh, no, you're from
That's
Boston?
the exact reason, because
if
they
you're not
know
Springfield, you're Boston.
They assume that people are going to know Springfield more than anywhere else. They just go Springfield. So, yeah, it's stupid. I don't agree.
Yeah,
but
I'm like,
it's the exact reason
I was trying to understand. So apparently, I guess a couple of years ago, there was a student of color. Phone call was made to security. She felt that phone call was like racially motivated. Investigation started. It comes to light now that phone call wasn't racially motivated. Cool. No problem.
What do you mean by racially motivated?
Like they didn't call security because she was black.
Okay.
That's what the probe ended up.
Something happened with security, and they were saying it was because of racial things? Or?
That's what the student said. So when something like that happens, they have to investigate it. And I guess the probe just came out, and it was determined that the phone call was not placed due to any racial intention or anything like that. It was just a regular ass phone call.
Yeah.
There's that. I guess there was a professor, a whistleblower, last week.
Goddamn whistleblowers.
Those people are dangerous, man. They be taking everything down. Like one little piece of information to let go and everything's over. But I guess she was basically complaining about the fact that from that incident, now you have, the college trying to do like a social injustice initiative, or I don't know.
They're now trying to advocate to kind of cover up, like not cover up, but like
not even cover up, but they're trying to be like more inclusive. They're trying to be more diverse, all this stuff, guidelines. They're trying to do all of this. And basically she said that she was made to be made feel uncomfortable. It's too much details. You guys will have to like look it up.
Was this in the article that you shared on Fox News?
No.
No. Okay, this is something different.
Yeah, this is something different, but it all ties down to what's going on at Smith, because she said that she felt like she was like discriminated against.
What did she do to get the cops called?
No. See, that's where it's fucking you up. There's two different incidents. There's the one with the student.
Yeah.
The other incident that just came out with the professor, she basically wrote a letter saying that you guys are doing things that are making me feel uncomfortable. You know, she's a white woman.
Basically, is it because the college is now compensate? Like, no, I don't know even what the right word, but they're trying to like start these initiatives. Now someone feels like bad, like feels a certain way.
So there was a time that she went on a retreat and they asked her a question and she felt uncomfortable. She didn't want to answer. And somebody was like, oh, she doesn't want to answer because of her white privilege or something. I'm probably misquoting this. So please, if you're hearing this, look it up yourself. But it is something along the line. And, you know, I kind of read it and I could understand why she feels like that. I honestly can't. Like, if you was to read the letter and then she's describing like certain, like, you know, things that happen, it's like, oh, okay. I could kind of see why she feels like that. But that's just me. Everybody else is going to look at it different because the way I look at things is like they're using this one thing to kind of just like keep us divided and, and we're falling for it.
They definitely sparked up the whole race thing big time lately. And obviously there's been a lot of things that's happened, but still I hadn't even noticed it personally until this year either. Like I haven't really like I just grew up with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds. Never have I paid any attention to that. Like it was never a factor. It's just like people were either I liked them, they were good people, or they just weren't good people. But then you throw in now all this pressure on where you're from a genetic standpoint, and then that's now becoming a determining factor of your placement in society.
You want to know something interesting? Growing up in the Bronx, coming out to Massachusetts, this was the first time that I've been around so many white people in my life.
Yeah, I was gonna say inner city, insane amount. It's just
and that's just the reality of it. Our teachers, you know, by the time I got to middle school, our teachers started to look like us. You know, we were just around us. Like we wouldn't even really see white people really like that until we went to Manhattan or we went into the city, you know, because everybody thinks like, oh, New York City is no. There's Manhattan,
right.
There's Brooklyn, there's Queens, there's the Bronx, and there's that other place over there called Long Island or Staten Island that you don't even like recognize sometimes.
Yeah, my parents used to live there. Like, Staten Island.
There's like different levels. So, you know, being in different areas. Like if you was to go to Queens, you'll probably see more white people out in Queens.
Or probably in Manhattan.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you go down there and that's when we will see them. We go back home. There's no more.
That's so crazy. Now, what do you think that is? Just like...
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean...
Socioeconomics is...
That's now. Yeah. I mean, that's back then because now I go back home to visit mom. And now the Bronx is like gentrified like crazy.
Like all kinds of different people?
Not
What's
even
gentrified
that.
Mean? I'm sorry.
So gentrified means like you will come to like maybe like maybe a community of color or a community of lower economic status, and you come there and you buy property and you're basically pushing other people out so you can move people in with money.
It's very prevalent in like California and stuff. Actually, a really good example of this, if I'm being honest, is if you take the train in, like if I go to New York City, like I take the train from Connecticut, New Haven, and like you get to a certain point in New York and you start seeing like these brand new skyscrapers in like Bronx areas. I think it's the Bronx at least. And you're like, yeah, there's something like that doesn't seem right. But the same thing happens in California. The big thing is they have these like hipsters kind of like basically move into these like areas that don't have much going on, and they move in with their their nice apartments, their coffee shops.
I'll give you an example of gentrification. You know, never really being in Harlem like that. You know, we'll dip in here and there, being younger. Now going back to Harlem and there's white people just walking around because they live in that neighborhood. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just the effects of gentrification. Yeah. You're seeing people who never lived in that neighborhood live in that neighborhood before. Like,
and then they don't give back. They don't always like give back, and the people live there. And it can be.
So you think it's a bad thing from an economic standpoint?
I think it's good and bad because it's nice to go back home and see all these beautiful new buildings.
Yeah.
But at what cost? Yeah. Who did you push out to move this in.
It's kind of, I mean, I don't want Abu Dhabi is like
but,
much worse, but it's kind of like Abu Dhabi where you see these beautiful skyscrapers, and not too far off you see just like really bad slums where like people living on top of each other.
It's just like the fucking casino downtown.
Yeah,
I know. I can't believe
the
they fit a
like,
casino.
Lovely to see that.
Like when you.
But then go up Union Street.
When you just think about what that used to be like before that casino was there, that was.
Well,
not
I'm surprised they fit what like when they were talking about it before they did it. I'm like, where are they gonna put a casino? It doesn't look like there's room for anything.
Mike, they MGM straight up lied.
Well, they destroyed a bunch of people, a bunch of businesses.
Not only that, the fact that you guys came in and were telling us, oh, it's gonna look like this.
Yeah.
And then the end result was like this. They fucking lied.
Well, it's not that great.
No.
Nah,
I've never been
You
yet.
can walk through there in like 10 minutes. Not even kidding you.
It's nothing compared to Mohegan or Foxwoods, and I'm not a casino person.
No.
Yeah.
But just like the aesthetics, how big it is. Like you said, you can walk from over here to over here like in 5 minutes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
you need space to have a proper casino. That is, and like what surprises me is a company like MGM really thought they could get away with it because you go to Vegas and they own like half the strip. None of their casinos are small. None of them.
Yeah.
You could fit like their smallest casino. You could probably still fit like 2 or 3 Springfield MGMs in there. Like,
I'd fucking love to go to Nevada.
Oh yeah, it's
I
like
belong
Vegas
in the desert.
casinos are ridiculous.
Shout out to Eddie's out in Reno, but yeah, no, it's a really weird thing. I mean, they were trying to put that casino in Palmer.
Yeah.
You know, and
you need just like a massive amount of land.
And I remember actually at a time, I've always grown up in like rural areas, and I remember when Walmarts were running around and popping up, and there would be petitions that the people of that community would have to sign to allow a Walmart to come in, and while it be very convenient, sure, it decimated any other mom and pop shop.
You'll never see a Walmart in the city.
Yeah, I was
the most
say,
they're gonna allow is a Target, and they have a Target on 164th Street, and that's about where Yankee Stadium is at. It's this whole like thing that was never there before, a whole shopping plaza, and they have a whole ton of things there. That's the furthest you're gonna see is a Target. You're never gonna see a Walmart in the Bronx, in New York City.
Yeah,
never. That's never gonna happen because you're going to destroy too many mom and pop shops in the surrounding areas.
Plus,
that would be mind blowing. Imagine that.
That's a lot of space you'd have to try to put up in the Bronx, and like I don't know.
Well, Walmart is like a store for everything, and I would assume if you live in the city, you kind of only need groceries. Because like, who's buying
you got
a lawnmower?
Groceries at Walmart. These other small supermarkets that could have been started up from a Dominican immigrant who came from the Dominican Republic.
Like bodegas and stuff.
You have bodegas. You have people out there that own their own supermarkets. Imagine a Walmart coming in.
Yeah,
they're going to be working for them.
I remember when Palmer Ware basically got that Walmart. It was such a huge deal between people getting bought out of land that they had for like ever, and then just like what it ended up doing to a bunch of businesses because they put a Walmart and a Lowe's in the same plaza in a small town, like small town.
I was gonna say because both those towns, it's crazy.
And Ware was already bad as it is, and it just like.
How long did you live in the city before you moved back to? Rather not back to, but to. Lived in New York because obviously you still live in Springfield City.
So I was
city to city.
I was born in Puerto Rico.
Oh no, kidding! How long did you live there?
I think I was there until I was probably like 2 or 3, and then the first city that we came to in America was Springfield.
Really? Here? No kidding.
Yeah, and lived out here for a bit, and then ended up going to New York when I was about like 5 or 6. So I grew up there. I went to high school. I went elementary, middle, all of that out there. Still talk to people. To this day, I have friends who are fucking teachers and are married and just had their first kid, and we're all like 30 now. Like, it's just so weird, like super weird. But the golden years were spent in the Bronx, and then I just come out here and just grow into an adult. Basically, like the city, the city made me who I am.
Well, it's a different. I could only imagine. That's why I'm kind of trying to dig into that a little bit because I've never experienced that, and I could tell that that's different. Just navigating the day to day, everything's different. Like for me, every time I've ever gone anywhere to do something, I get in my car. Like there, you could probably walk, right? I mean, and that alone changes your lifestyle a lot when you can pretty much walk everywhere.
But it's a good thing. But even when I go down to the city, I still have the rental.
Yeah.
Where I go, I don't park it up and then take public transportation because the MTA sucks asshole.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like you're forced in a city. Like look at
I'm not paying
big places like
no.
Japan, New York City, London.
I work in Hartford and I have to commute.
Yeah. No, I'd rather
the amount of people you pass
looking for parking than to get on that MTA. I'm not even fucking kidding.
It's that bad.
Yeah, because it's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
Yeah.
No, it's disgusting, and Governor Cuomo should be ashamed of himself, among other things that we're not going to talk about.
Uber every time I get like once I take the train into the city, and then I Uber everywhere.
Dude, every time I've been to New York City, I've never seen a gas station.
You find them, but they're not.
They're not like gas stations like here that they're full blown big and they got this whole. No, it's like this.
It's like a pump.
It's right here. This is the gas station, and you literally have enough space for the attendant to be there, and that's it.
Yeah,
like the old school one. Yeah.
No, I don't blame you. I've seen.
You'll be lucky if you can even use the bathroom. Some of them don't even have bathrooms, and if you're drunk and you gotta pee, you're fucked. Like
that's what I'm saying. I don't know how people have a good time out when they're in Times Square watching the ball drop. Like, is that a good time, or are you actually wearing a diaper? Because I've heard people wearing diapers out there just to see the ball drop because you can't go anywhere.
It's not even that deep. I'm not wearing a diaper unless it's required. And then to stand in the cold, like me, I would already. I bitch when it's too cold and I bitch when it's too hot. So that's not even my type of environment. And then being, a former New Yorker.
Have you seen?
Never
the ball
been
drop?
there. No, never been to the Statue of Liberty.
Really?
Never been to the World Trade Center.
Yeah.
Never done all the little tourist attraction things that people do when they go to the city.
I feel like that's typical New York. Yeah, like because it's a tourist thing. Like,
but then, like, if you were from the Bronx, you would essentially just stay in the Bronx unless you had to go to Manhattan. Unless you had a job in Brooklyn or Queens or somewhere else, people will usually stay where they were. You from Harlem?
They're
you
like
stay
their
in
own
Harlem.
little cities, basically, and within themselves.
I'm trying to think of what's my favorite borough besides the Bronx.
Yeah.
That's number one.
It's funny because
Brooklyn might probably be my second favorite
place. Yeah.
Brooklyn's pretty cool. And then once again with the gentrification, man,
Brooklyn's
they've been getting hit hard. Like again, it's nice to see how nice things are looking because if you're on the FDR, you can see the bridge that kind of crosses to Brooklyn. And you see their skyline. They have downtown Brooklyn. The Barclays Center is beautiful. I've been in there before. It's big. It's like a major sports arena that I was in. I was like, oh my God, this is like in the middle of the hood. This is crazy.
Right.
You understand what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
There's a basketball arena. It's massive. It's crazy. In the middle of the hood. Jay-Z grew up here 5 minutes away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Something like Barclays Center means so much to Brooklyn. People don't understand. Like things like that mean so much to the community. It's
and it brought back a professional sports team since like what? The Dodgers?
The Dodgers probably, like it's
which is nuts when you think about it. It's a long ass time.
That fucking building means so much to Brooklyn, and then you see across the street, you see like this massive like shopping center that I know it wasn't there before.
Yeah.
That I don't know. It was just like gentrification. I'm like in the middle.
Where do you think they push the people? Like, so you said they relocate a lot of people.
People probably move out of state. I've been hearing since the pandemic that people have been moving out of New York, and you can.
I don't blame them.
You go to New York. We were there yesterday with Inappropriality was out there, and
yeah, that's right. Talk about that. You guys just went out there.
Yeah. We know people out there because Gook is connected with a lot of artists out from New York.
Cool.
So he's introduced me to some people. So we wanted to do a show out there. So I was like, oh, let me hit up, some friends that I was introduced to. And we was out there from like about 2 to about like 10, just talking back to back. We were fried, like super fried. Like at one point we had
a clam.
Listen,
as Deo. That's the new saying.
We literally had to stop the interview to eat something.
Oh no. Damn.
We were done. Like we were Can you imagine you're smoking like 2 hours back to back to back?
Yeah, then you space out.
Mm-hmm.
Hard.
Then you get there and then you smoke some more.
I did that last night.
Yeah, it was too much. We literally had to stop. Bought our guest a sandwich. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like everybody was eating. As soon as we finished eating, we were like, okay, we're good.
Let's
we're
go.
ready to go.
Yeah.
So,
how do you guys set up when you're on the road like that to do the podcast?
I know we have a mixer.
Okay, so is it like a green screen mixer? You got chairs, or like
Nah,
where do you go?
We're fortunate to have people who have like little setups there.
Oh, cool. So you know where to go. There's a studio you can
Mhm.
count on.
That's what we were. We were at a studio because the Stew and Enfield, they have a new spot on 8th Avenue in the city.
Yeah.
So all we had to do was hit them up and say, hey, we wanted to go do a couple shows down there. Boom, here's the key to the studio. Now we have a location to invite people to come to. So it's just like, that's just like the blessings of having relationships.
Networking.
And networking.
It's so important.
We're able to not only invite guests, but provide the guests a place to come. Because they were, you know, granted, it was like a room just like this. It's nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You got the booth, you got the setup like this. But the fact that I think they were kind of just blown away that we drove 2 hours to come talk to them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, it's always probably a treat to just go over to New York regardless.
That's the plan. I think our plan is to like branch out. We don't want to just be a podcast that just focuses on New England. That is our main market. Yeah. But we want to know people from New York. We want to touch as many places as
it's smart to do that.
Can be allowed to.
You're smart to do that, really, as a podcast, and just to be completely transparent. And for those of you who are listening, I mean, that's really how a podcast grows. I depend on people coming in that I don't know that you know can create more of a network. We had
this kid come in yesterday. He calls himself the South Bronx Steven. Yeah. And he does like metal rap and stuff like that. And this is a kid who would cut himself on stage. Ooh. And he showed us. He lifted up.
He's a hardcore performer. Oh my God.
That's the type of people that we want to reach.
Well, he cut himself open?
Yeah. Ooh. He had to have like 18 stitches.
Oof. Mm-hmm. That's hardcore. That's dedication.
Yeah, we want to talk to everybody. We don't care what you do, how you look like. We don't care what kind of music you make.
Right. Well, that's how I feel. Yeah. And I said it, and I didn't want to. I've said it on my off the top segment that I've been doing here with this podcast. You guys
should be watching.
Yeah. Thank you. It's fun. It's a new thing, and I figured, hey, why not? But the reality is that I don't care. It's not about me liking your music. I want to. If I have somebody on who makes music, I don't always love their music, but what I love is their passion for what they do, and that's the basis of which I decide. Let's have this person on and talk to them because they'll have a lot to say. Because there's a lot of people, as you know, probably way better than I do, even that there's a lot of people in this scene who just want it for frivolous purposes, and they're not really, their heart's not really in it.
Yeah, that's why I've
come across that a lot already.
About people hitting me up to come on the podcast and saying that they do this, and that, and then I'll be like, you don't really have nothing. Right. To show for it, like what you were saying, like if you're coming on this podcast, God damn it, you better have a resume. And I'm not even talking about inappropriality. I'm talking about respectfully said. Yeah. And the resume doesn't have to be extensive, but I want this platform to be taken serious. Right. Just like how y'all take all these other platforms serious because of who it is and who comes on, because y'all deem those people to be important. You got to start looking at stuff back home on that same level.
Yeah, and it's one thing to talk, but it's another thing to do the walk. And a lot of people don't. Absolutely. What I'm saying is that there's a lot of people out there who've even reached out, and it's like, I would love to see them keep going, but I'm a little apprehensive about having them on because at the same time, as you know, when you have somebody on the podcast and they don't have that portfolio you're talking about or that repertoire of different things that they work on and the amount of passion that they have for it, they don't have much to say when you're talking to them, and then you're like,
exactly. Shit. And it doesn't even have to do with the kind of music that you make, because I don't even care about that. It's just the point that you're coming on this platform and I wanted to look a certain type of way. My people and we're putting money into this.
Yeah.
It has to look as professional as possible. And you guys want us to respect you and take you guys serious as an artist.
yeah.
We got to need that kind of energy back with this platform. You got to take this
Well, think about
platform
it
as
too.
You
You don't want to lie to your audience.
Yeah.
You don't want to be like, hey, this is a really great and passionate. Because every
and
time
they're
I have
gonna
somebody
tell me
on,
no, because they're not afraid.
Yeah.
They won't be afraid. They'll
Exactly.
inbox me and they'll tell me like, oh, you were talking about like this person, and I don't think that that person's that's great. That's beautiful to me.
Yeah.
Because whether it's a good thing or a bad feedback, I got something.
It's still feedback.
I got a reaction.
And it's being noticed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's huge. And back to like building that network too. I think it's everything. Is that the basis of which you were really just trying to? So you're saying, what's the big difference between Respectfully Said? You seem like you had some good things to say about between your podcast Respectfully Said and Inappropriality, where you're saying you're just trying to take that element of music to the next level. What do you do in that instance? What do you mean by that?
Wait,
like as far as you said, you guys do a lot of great stuff with the music scene with Inappropriality, but you have a different take with it on Respectfully Said.
Because it's just the type of platform that it is. I want it to be like, a music platform where people can go and look at it as something like, serious and legit.
Yeah.
That's why if you want to come on the podcast, I can't just let anybody come on, because I have people who watch the podcast who already feel like there's certain people that should already be there. There's people that they're anticipating, because people actually are fans of artists out here, and they would tell me like, oh, you need to have this person on and this person on, and then I would have to kind of sit there and look like, oh, this person isn't really doing much. Like, to me, I feel like I have to cater first to the people, to the artists who've been grinding, who've been the most consistent, who've been going crazy, who's been killing it. Those are the people who are going to have the first chances to come on Respectfully Said. Everybody else that, you starting up and whatever, keep going.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean to stop, but
I think what that creates, and because it is a beautiful thing regardless, because what that creates is one more thing for that person who's not there yet to push themselves further. Mm-hmm. Because if you give everything to, like, for instance, even as a podcast host, if everybody you wanted to come on just came on, you might not become as accomplished as you'd like if you got it all up front and right
mm-hmm.
away. So by being able to be humbled by your own progress and have to push yourself to progress, you end up with a better product anyways. Because I think that's what ends up happening with a lot of people who are new to it. They'll make one or two songs and then think they've made
mm-hmm.
it, or you know what I mean? They end up giving themselves so much credit that they don't keep doing it. And that's something I've seen in myself. I've seen in others, when you do something and maybe it came so easy to you that you just didn't keep pursuing it. And it's so important that people keep pursuing it, because as I said to Mike, I've said it to so many other people, there is just this massive community of people all around this area, New England area, that could could potentially create a very prosperous and progressive scene in that sense. Like,
absolutely,
there's so much talent here.
From the people who make music, to the people who shoot their videos, to the people who take their pictures,
it's
to the
crazy
people who fucking manage them,
talent there
to the people who are blogging, because I'm starting to see a lot of more bloggers out here from the Western Mass scene. It's going to be a collective effort, and it just kind of, it pains me to see, like, back at home, everybody, it's all about me. It's going to be me.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that in order for New England to be taken serious as a music hub, is going to take a collective effort from several key artists. In my most humble opinion, I think Gook is one of those people who's going to be a forefront
on the
of
next level.
Western mass music, who's gonna be one of those key players, and then there's gonna be other people along with him who are gonna do that.
Putting the East Coast back on the map, because it's not. I don't feel like we're doing as much as like.
It's gonna be tough because.
I mean, I know Jay-Z's still doing stuff, but you know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was a time, especially in Kanye's prime, he was very East Coast, right? Or, I know
he's Midwest.
Right?
Oh, okay.
But the problem with what's going on in hip-hop today is that a long time ago, Outkast won Best New Artist, I think, at the Soul Train Awards, and they, I think, Andre 3000 said that, you know, the South got something to say. And these motherfuckers haven't shut up since. They've literally taken over. You hear it in the sound. Everybody wants to do melodic rap.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to. Yeah. It's all a Southern thing. You go to New York, and the rappers want to sound like the rappers from down south. That's why I say it's gonna be tough.
They all have a certain way about them. Right?
Yeah, the most dominant artists right now are all from down south or from like Georgia area. Like Lil Baby is one of the biggest rap stars right now.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
There's Lil Baby, then there's Da Baby, and he's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
And then you got Megan Thee Stallion, who's from Texas, even though that's the deep south, but it's still the south. Like they've been going crazy. So now
that's become a really big scene. Houston's become huge ever since all the back to what we were talking about, lockdown shit. There was a mass exodus in LA and California in general because people couldn't live there anymore. Like, period.
Yeah. I know somebody who moved to Texas from out here.
Yeah.
They're not enjoying it right now, but
they don't like it very much.
Because you're moving to an area where you don't know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I mean that's bound to happen. And I mean, I guess right now this is not the perfect time to be meeting people during the pandemic, but I'm sure it's gonna get better. I've moved here.
Where did he move from? Like Springfield?
Yeah.
Is he live in like a rural area now?
I don't know. It got to be if they're having a little, small town blues.
It's
like
different
that.
though. Yeah. It's a whole different world. My girlfriend's sister went down there to see her friends, and she just said it's different. Texas is a lot different, especially coming from a small town like you said, around here.
I went to Texas once when I was a kid, but. Yeah, whatever. I could, you know what I mean. I could only imagine the change. If you were living up here your whole life and then going down there, I'm sure it's a huge difference. It's crazy the amount of just socioeconomic diversity there is in just this country. You know what I mean? Like you could live up in Maine and then move all the way down to the desert. You know what I mean? It's like that much of a difference. Just alpine, but I am. Kind of to go full circle because we jumped the beat on that when we were talking about the shutdowns. Things are opening back up, and people are going to be able to perform again, and they're going to be allowing in this, at least in New England, probably if Massachusetts is allowing it, that's the rest of New England, indoor performances, and
we're stoked on this side.
So stoked about that.
I feel like one of the things that kind of held Gook back last year was the fact that he couldn't perform the way he wanted to.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, like, he was able to come up with opportunities for himself. Like, he just tell me, I need to be here on this day. I need to be here. And then my job is to make sure.
Well, somebody like him who is thriving in the worst of times is going to be just conquering once things are normal. Because think about how much less you have to worry about. And as much as I like what the utility of the internet and stuff, we've talked about the algorithm before. It's a real pain in the ass.
It's not enough.
When you're out there and performing, you then say there's 500 or 100 people, whatever. That many people just saw what you did. There's no denying that. When you put something on the internet, you don't really know how many people just saw what you did.
An artist like him needs to be in an environment like that because that's where he, just comes full circle.
Is he
the imagery, the music, his style?
Yeah,
you get all of that once you watch it live. And this is coming from somebody who's, man, I've been
I miss
attending
live music.
I do too.
I really do.
I've been attending like live concerts since I was like 5 or 6 years old. Like,
no shit.
Living back at home, people will pull up to the park. Like, my mom was like a big salsa fan. She would listen to a lot of salsa.
Yeah.
So bands will come to the park and they'll be like, "Oh, we're at this park and it's free of charge, and you just got to be there early if you want to be in the front."
Who isn't a salsa fan though? I fucking love salsa music.
It's dope. It was dope to like kind of see like famous people from like that young, like oh shit, like it's like this guy,
Up
this is
there.
like my mom's favorite singer. So it started from that young, always being in that like environment. That's why I think I like being in a concert environment, and I enjoy seeing others perform. And that's the ultimate one, man. Like if you're this and that as an artist and you're not a good stage performer, mad points get taken off.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing too.
That's when you make a connection.
Looking at you, Nickelback.
Oh, you the boys alone, man. They got classics. Why everybody be shitting on Nickelback?
For that
man?
reason, I'm not
we
even
were just
kidding.
talking about
That's
this.
why.
Nickelback is good. Like I don't
But
care
that's
what
why.
you
For no
say.
good reason.
But that's why they get shit on, is because their live performances sucked, but their music, yeah. So I've heard,
I believe that.
Yeah.
Okay, see now it makes sense. And
But
I'm
still.
the type of
Yeah.
person like
They do make good music, but
Mhm.
I've heard their live performances are ass.
It's such a thing, and it's like no matter what culture from a from a human standpoint, there's always been music, and I'm just thinking when you don't have that element of being able to enjoy music with a collective, you're missing out on a very important part about what it is to be a human, and that's something like even if you weren't an avid concert goer, your concert might have been the bar or the country club with a bunch of people. You know what I mean? It's always been some type of collective. And honestly, even if it wasn't a concert, there's still music there. So it's like the act of not being able to conjugate with people and do something in course and together, whether it be listening to music or eating or something like that, it's been gone. It's been a massive fast from it. And I'm just, back to the thinking about concerts. I'm like, man, it's been so long since I've been to a concert, and it's like I feel like I really could use one. You know what I mean? It's like I feel like it's missing.
The last
in
one
my
I
life.
went to was around this time. I think I went to
the
come
last
see
live
Rhapsody
performance.
in Boston. I remember because it was fucking cold that night.
As it
was
always
cold.
is.
Yeah,
You
like
don't
it
want
was.
to know the last
it
concert
was-
I went to.
It was extra cold that night.
Was it Dropkick Murphys?
No. It was 2 years ago. Shit.
That's not that bad. I know people who've never even been to a concert before.
Yeah.
2 years is not that bad.
When was
No, but
this?
I mean the person I went to see, I forget his name.
Dude, it's been a long time since I've actually been to a concert. If I really think about it, because I'm trying to jog my memory right now, and I think
James Taylor. That's what
James
I went to
Taylor.
see
Okay.
2
Well,
years
I don't
ago.
even think this was a concert. I guess they call them shows.
Yeah.
I don't even think it was a concert. It was a show.
Music?
Yeah, I
Okay,
went
it
to
was
go
music.
see Rhapsody. Like I said before, she's fucking dope. She's with Rock Nation.
Yeah.
That's Jay-Z's thing, label, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the hip hop heads know who Knife Wonder is. And that's basically who he took under his wing, and can't fuck with her. And like she's nice. She's nice. Like we were just having a discussion yesterday. The boys almost kicked me out the rental with her. I was like, oh, I think she's nicer than J. Cole.
Oh no!
They were like, no, and then we're talking a little bit, and then we're talking about like how she raps and her lyricism, and then that's when Mac was like, I think you're right. I think she might be a little nicer than J. Cole.
Yeah.
I was like, nah, she is.
Shit, I gotta get
She's
into
dope.
Rhapsody. I feel like I've
She's
heard
dope,
of her.
and then her live performance. That's what I'm trying to tie in. Is like I seen her live, and she got me, man. It was just it's amazing, like the amount of professionalism. You can tell that she takes this serious. That she takes the time to rehearse. She does this exactly the same every fucking night. You know what I mean? It's a performance.
She's a true artist, and it's funny how
not a lot of performances be going on out here.
Right. Yeah. And that's, I think, a big difference between, like, really what separates metaphorically the men from the boys in that instance is that, and almost anybody, I should say, can sing into a microphone by themselves in a studio and produce something with, the beats and whatever. It's a different, I would assume, a very different experience to be able to put on a show. You're using the entirety of your being, your body, your mind, you're singing, you're dancing. and people are feeding off that. You're providing that for however many people. I mean, that is just I would assume a way different, not only a way different set of skills, but just a different experience altogether.
Nah, it's definitely, I think, is a different set of skills, because you'll have artists who aren't really, they're not really strong artists, but you can't fuck with them on stage.
Right. It takes a lot of courage to be able to do that on stage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A lot of mindfulness too, because I think a big part about performing in front of people is being in the moment. Because if you lose that, you can. I mean, I've choked on stage just on a speech. You know what I mean? Like, never mind singing to people and dancing and performing like that.
But you can definitely tell who takes the time out to rehearse and perform. R&B singers, we can tell when you practice, when you warm up your vocals and that. We can tell when you guys don't do that.
Yeah.
You know, we can tell when you don't take the time out to rehearse. We can tell when you go to perform that you're constantly performing different songs all the time, and it's not supposed to be like that. You see a legit artist and you see them go to different venues or whatever to perform. 99% of the time they're performing the same fucking songs over and over and over.
Comedians are kind of the same way that.
Yeah, because you kind of have to like just build up, like you have to build up that show, and I don't feel like and I don't think you can do that by doing different songs every time. Like, you're this person and people have to know you by this song and this song,
probably
and this song.
In other
You
words,
putting too much out, you're performing too much.
You can't feel bad about doing the same thing again. You got to just perfect what you're doing and maybe add to it.
Well, it's more than just delivering the music and presenting the music. Like, it's a whole thing. So it's a whole show.
Yeah, you should essentially know what are your most popular songs. You have access to all that data.
Yeah.
Right. So you should be looking up that info and be like, oh, so is this the song that's being streamed the most? Those should be the songs that you should be performing. If you know it makes sense. Like, I tell Gook, he has a song called Same Gook, and that's probably one of his least favorite songs right now. And I told him there's gonna be a point in time that you're gonna have to perform that song.
Yeah.
That every time I go on Spotify, that shit, the numbers keep going up and up on that
on
that
like
song.
One of those more popular ones.
Yeah, and I told him he's gonna have to start performing that very soon.
Yeah,
because it's gonna be one of your popular. You got to.
How did he come up with his name?
So the name,
because I think it's a little bit of a racial slur.
It is.
Like,
so the first definition is that.
I hope he doesn't take any offense that if we're listening, no hard feelings.
Nah, he knows that this is something that he's gonna have to
I'm sure he's been dealing
once he
with
starts marketing out, because like back at home in our world, we don't, they don't really know what gook mean like that.
Yeah.
But once you start branching out to different people, you start talking to different people, they're gonna know what that means.
Yeah. And just about everything these days could be an insult if you want to make it an insult. It's just the nature of.
So. It's that one definition, which I'm not gonna repeat. You want to know the definition of gook?
Google it.
Google it yourself. I'm not gonna repeat it.
So it's just a racial slur.
It's a racial slur towards Asian people.
Yeah.
That's that definition. Now,
but you can still say chink in the armor.
Why is that not being canceled, huh?
Yeah.
But y'all want to give my guy a hard time when he puts
music
up on music.
Use that. Well, here's the thing. I don't know. I am probably not in the right spot to say nothing, but not that I really care. But that must be somewhat of an obstacle for him.
It could be, but then when he tells you the second portion of the definition of gook is if you go, it's a South Floridian. If you guys don't know what that means you're from South Florida. It's a South Floridian term for lame, stupid, loser.
Oh, okay.
That's what
gook means.
Gook means, South Florida. So when he was in high school, that's what they used to call him. They used to call him a gook because he was into anime.
Yeah.
And little goth.
Who isn't?
Culture and shit
Anime
like
is the
that.
best.
Oh my God.
Come on, you don't like anime?
No, like
don't shake
don't
your
either.
head. No, you
I
don't like anime? Oh, no
I go
shit.
as far as like Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
and it's not like I don't like it, but it's
Avatar:
just
Last
like
Airbender is coming out with more.
people really be
saying.
dedicating this whole time to
I saw that
be
when I was younger. I don't even watch that again.
debating about like anime characters and
Yeah, I don't got time
this
for that.
person whips this person's ass.
Oh, they'll
Did you
go
see
on
how
all
they
day.
do it? They did.
Well, it's
No.
the same banter you would expect from people who watch sports. It's pretty superfluous.
Okay, that's fair.
It's just for the sake of
Don't act like you know me. Shut up.
just for fun.
No,
Well, we
no.
like UFC. I like UFC.
No.
You're not a football guy, are you? I'm not a football
I'm a
guy.
football guy. I
You like
like a lot of sports.
But
I
it's
watch
like
just about
that.
anything.
It's just imaginative because now you're dealing with
Well, yeah.
mythological beings. You know,
We
like
always
Goku
go
or-
like a classical in
mythological,
sports is
but-
always MJ versus
Yeah.
LeBron. Like there's
Yeah.
always, like people always want to compare, and
yeah.
it's just what it is.
No, that's funny because we came across the same issue, not really, but the company I work with and for is New England Functional Fitness. We abbreviate to NEF, and I guess that was a word, like another
It's a
word
company.
for narc.
Oh, I was gonna
So
say
like
it's
if you're a
company,
NEF,
too.
you're like a narc. I guess I never heard about it, but it was a thing in Connecticut. Where college kids in Connecticut would be like, "Yo, you're a NEF," you know what I mean, or something like that. I don't
I
know.
know
Okay,
it was a
what
clothing
does-
brand
what
for
does-
a while.
What does narc even mean?
I guess somebody who like tells on people,
A
a
snitch?
whistleblower, yeah, like a
snitch.
snitch.
Yeah.
Oh, you're a narc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're a total narc.
You're a NEF.
I think
You're a NEF.
I
Yeah.
think what it is derived from is because like working with like a narcotics office, like busting like
Yes.
under like
That's a good
but,
point.
yeah.
I never
Yeah,
that's
okay,
what it
that
is.
makes sense.
correlation,
Damn, I feel so old.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know this new terminology being used. The other
Yeah.
day I had somebody explain to me what damn, I forgot the abbreviation, but I think they said put me on, like I was talking to them about music and
Yeah.
they put PMO and I'm like,
PMO.
yeah, I had to inbox them because I didn't want to embarrass myself
Oh,
on the
those,
status.
Yeah,
So I
I
was
go
like,
on,
what does that mean? And
Yeah.
he's like, oh, put me on. I'm like, shit.
yeah, I go
Yeah.
on Reddit
Yeah, I know.
sometimes and they like some of those posts I have no idea what the hell TLDR
SMH. I didn't
Yeah.
know for the longest time,
Yeah.
and I still make my
LOL,
emojis.
I still have no
make
idea.
my emojis.
No.
So how's that? I don't even use
Oh.
the. I sometimes don't even use the template ones.
Fuck
like,
you. No,
I'll
you
still
don't.
make the.
Fuck you, you're lying
No,
to me.
to you guys I will, but if I'm like having regular conversations with people, I don't use them.
What
with
are you fucking
guys.
lame?
Huh?
2005?
Dude, I don't know.
Jesus.
Some like I'll like use a regular like dots with the thing. You know what I mean? Maybe somebody could vouch for me here. I'm not
my
alone. I know I'm
God.
not alone.
Oh my god, I can't believe I'm friends with you. Oh fuck.
So we're at an hour and 40 minutes, and I want to wrap this
Damn,
up.
that was long.
I want to wrap this
Before
up.
you wrap it up, Mike, because I don't want nobody to kill me if they watch this.
Well, okay, yeah, keep going.
let me shout out. My
I have
other
one more
people.
question before we wrap it up too.
Go ahead.
Okay,
Ask me the question.
I just wanted to dive in to what it is to more just to kind of because I'm just genuinely curious what it is to be a manager in the music industry. I know we went over little things here and there, but in your experience doing it and the time that you have, what has it been to you?
Shit, like, even at this point, I don't even consider myself like a manager because during the pandemic, there was nothing really to manage.
Okay, and that was
Look
your
up the
first year doing it?
Yeah, look up the
Ah.
definition of a manager and see what
Okay.
they do. And there was nothing really to do, like, from a manager standpoint. I felt like last year I was more of a publicist.
Mm.
And the job for a publicist is to
Network. And, yeah.
reach out to people and look, I have an artist.
Yep.
You should check them out. That's what I was doing more. But I mean, I guess I did some managing things because financially, investments,
Yeah.
there's times that, we have to, we come together and I want to do this. We need to put money into that. Okay. Getting him to places where he needs to be. That's, I know that's a manager's job is to make sure
Try
that
to just
their
progress
artists-
him through.
Yeah, so if he needs to go to New York, I'll drive him all the way out to New York. Drive him all the way
Right.
back. He needs to go do things in the city. I need to go to a recording session at 7. I need to be here, but I need to be here too. My job is to
Yeah.
make sure that he gets here,
There's
that he's fed,
Yeah.
that he has somewhere to sleep,
Oh shit.
that mentally he's okay,
Yeah.
that he's motivated, that he's ready to go. I don't even think I've even wet my foot when it comes to like this whole like manager thing. But it's like if you're trying to be a manager or anything, I think one of my biggest takeaways is like you better believe in that person like 1,000%. Like I believe.
Yeah, you gotta be supportive in every way.
I believe in his dreams more than I believe in mine.
Good.
Because
yeah, that's
I can see
huge.
what he wants for himself. Yeah. I could see it. He said he wanted to win Grammys.
Yeah.
I can honestly believe I can see him get to that level that he's winning Grammys.
Wow.
But I don't want to forget my other people because Gook not the only person that I manage.
And you know who you are.
Yeah, I know who Darius Isaiah. That's my guy. That's my brother. I think he's one of the top lyricists in the city.
And that's important to have somebody who genuinely believes in you, because there's a lot to be said about that. Because even on the day-to-day, personally, everybody, I don't think people believe in one another as much as they, one, pretend, or two, demonstrate.
You don't. You see people.
And it's just the nature of.
Yeah, no. You're not a fan of somebody's music life. If you cannot recite their shit from word to word. Don't call yourself a fan.
Yeah.
Call yourself a supporter. You're not a fan. There's a difference between being a supporter and being a fan.
Yep.
So, there's him. He's getting ready to drop an album, and he's my co-host for Respectfully Said. It's my artist.
Yeah, so you have a permanent co-host for Respectfully Said as well? Okay.
That's Darius. Okay. That's the guy who's there.
Oh,
and
no
then,
kidding. Okay.
Talent. She's crazy. She's another lyricist. Like I hate putting people into like gender boxes.
Yeah.
But she's the nicest woman in our city. Point blank period. There's not very few men can go toe to toe with her. She's that nice. She's like Rhapsody. Yeah. Like she's a lyricist. So, having a platform like that we're gonna judge music, I had to make sure that I brought to the stage two people that the city respect as lyricists. Because then the show is not gonna work. I can't have a music review show with people
and lyricists
that are not like,
can be some of the most important players on the field in the music industry sometimes. Look at somebody like
alive.
Bob, right? And look at somebody like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan's a fantastic example of that. He was a very terrible singer. Some people really loved his stuff. I didn't really love. I always say the best thing that happened to Bob Dylan was Jimi Hendrix. But look what he did. You know what I mean? Like he took some of his songs and made them staples of the rock industry. I mean, nobody's ever done it like it since. And it was just out of there being somebody who was a very good lyricist in that time, and that could change lives.
Like that, that's a definite. And then, see, I'm gonna keep it going. And then Karina Capri, she's another lyricist, but she's an R&B singer. So the R&B singers, y'all be dope, but y'all need a little help with y'all lyrics.
Yeah,
you hit up my other artist, Karina Capri, who dropped one of the best R&B albums of 2020, and she's about to drop again.
Boom.
And then I can't forget my guy, Swang on Beats, who's a producer. Yes, I have a producer too. Shout out to you that he's been working hard. He's been getting placements. Damn, being a producer is tough, but that's a conversation for another day. But he's been doing what he can with what he has.
And I love what you advocate in the collaborative sense of it, because just like we were talking about before, people can sort of be convinced, and it's not a terrible thing, because they can be convinced that everything can be done through just only the individual, because that's kind of the era we live in. It's the era of the individual. You have a computer. Now you have pretty much everything you need, as long as you have the right software, to be your own producer, singer, and manager, whatever. You know what I mean? Because you have the ability to communicate with whatever you want, whoever you want. But I think that also takes away from the authentic and vastly more productive, in my opinion, effect of working with the many instead of just the few. If you're able to be somebody like you were talking about, Mac Way, who's very open to working with other people, and like yourself, who's very open to connecting people together, that makes for so much more of a powerful experience for everybody, because now everybody there's a scene. That's what creates a scene. That's what creates an environment. Is now you have a collective group of people who are all just killing it. and they couldn't be that way if there wasn't an environment that they could do that in. Because sometimes if it's just one person, how is that? Like, say if there was only one person who was doing that around here, you would say, well, maybe there's not very much competition, but a lot of times it's the competition and the people that they're around that progress them the most, because now they see how they're doing it. Like, oh, I like the way he does that. I want to try and do something like that kind of a little bit better. And you learn from each other. And I think that's huge. And some people, their ego gets in the way. They get in the way of themselves to allow that to happen sometimes.
Yeah, and it's not even nothing about like no egos like that either, because, you know, we come together as a collective. We know what Gook can do.
Yeah. He's going to get there. No, I really look forward
to
having you on Gook. I'm going to be reaching out to him soon too.
As a group,
you said
April, because he's dropping. Yeah. He might be dropping an album, but you know, when we come together as a group, there's no egos, because obviously everybody's talented.
Yeah, and I'm just saying, you know what I mean. Like sometimes people.
Oh
might
yeah, no, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
just for the people who are watching.
Yeah.
Like there's none of that, because, you know, I'm around a lot of talented people, but what somebody might not be good at, that's where the other person, you know, kind of comes in.
Yeah.
You know, we have somebody like Gook who's like an all around artist in my eyes, because, you know, he can really rap, but then he can do the fun shit that, you know, his generation's into, and he's really good at that. Then we have somebody like, you know, Darius, who he's a lyricist, but he's another one who can jump into lanes and still do fun music.
Yeah. And,
you know, Karina's just Karina. She's just a different one.
Yeah.
She's just different. Funny. She's Karina, you watching this, man?
Shout out. Big shout out. But here, we'll wrap it up. You were saying something before I asked you a question.
Oh, you let me do my thing, Mike. That's what I wanted to do. Just shout
Beautiful.
My people out and make sure that I remembered everybody.
Beautiful.
Finessing our way on Instagram.
Yeah, everything's below, guys. Highly encourage you, especially if you're interested in the music scene, all Northeast. You're you know,
interested on, you know, you're having a rollout. You're trying to do a little media tour.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Karla's your girl.
Yeah, a couple of podcasts.
Yep.
Even if you don't come on Inappropriality, I can link you to other podcasts.
It's just a lot of fun, and there's a lot of buzz, and that's what you're so involved with. Between Inappropriality and Respectfully Said, it's fun. I mean, it's cool to get in on it and see what you guys are doing, and the laughs you have, and you guys seem like you're having a great time on Respectfully Said.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen a couple just like the beginnings of the podcast,
and it's enjoyable.
That
you just can't even hold your laughter. Sometimes the shit be funny.
And that's when you know it's a really good podcast too. I love that. When you know, there's some podcasts it's great when you can dig into stuff. Like, well, I think we really touched on some really awesome things, and hopefully nobody was offended these days. Who knows? But
I hope not, man. I'm it's expected, but
yeah,
like,
well, it takes courage to do this. Somebody said that to me, and I never really considered it. I'm like, shit, yeah, because like I'm kind of anybody who's doing a podcast, you're just kind of just letting it out.
I'm putting my thoughts out there, and I'm just.
It's scary.
Ready for all the smoke, but
we are the smoke.
Appreciate you even inviting me, because I didn't even, when you hit me up, I was like, oh, me?
Yeah, you. Yeah, you. I had to, and I'm coming after you too, Mac Way. I love you guys, you know. So I really would love to come back on Inappropriality at some point, you know, just to keep the ball rolling and have fun. And
we gotta get you back.
And to what you were saying, it's all about that community. It's all about the networking, because I look forward to doing this again. I can't wait to do it again. You know what I mean? Because say we do it 6 months from now, we're going to be living in a different world if we keep going at this pace with the people, you know, with the country opening back up, or at least this part of the country opening back up. It's going to be freaking awesome between the, you know,
absolutely
shows and the concerts and
definitely
a lot of content.
It's coming, baby.
Yeah.
Everything's below, guys. And thank you all so much for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment below if you have any other suggestions or comments or concerns. All right, bring the smoke.
Yeah, bring all the smoke. Be ready.
Peace.